वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वाकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So this is a summary from Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 13, description of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So, ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जलाचलाकया चक्षुरुन्मितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमहोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वं पतन्तामिकम्. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते रोमपदस्वामिनिति नामिने. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाशत्रदेशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. So once again, good morning, dear devotees. I humbly bow down and seek blessings from all the Vaishnavas who are assembled in the call. Thank you for giving me opportunity to purify myself on this summary, and please forgive me for any shortcomings or misinterpretations. So basically, in the previous chapters, we have seen that Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest, I think chapter 9 or 10. Then Dhruva Maharaj returns home, then he fight with Yakshas, and then he goes back to Godhead. In this chapter, uh, in this chapter, we will see the complete description of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So basically, this chapter is compiled with 49 verses. Uh, the whole chapter is divided into three sections, that is 1 to 6 talks about the discussion between Maitreya and Vidura, because Vidura requested a couple of questions and Maitreya replies to that. And 7 to 18 speaks about complete descendants, who are the wives, sons, Prashatat, etc. And 7 to 18. And 19 to 49, all the way to the end, it talks about uh, King Anga's son Veena and the continued description. So basically, in the first words, text 1, Sutta Goswami speaking to all the rishis, and we know that this was happened in Naimisharanya, the Sutta Goswami is describing. So right after that, Dhruva Maharaj left to Lord Vishnu. When Sutta Goswami says that, Vidura became very enlightened in the devotional emotion, and he inquired a couple of questions to Maitreya. The first question is that he asked, Vidura asked, who were the Prachetas, to which family did they belong, and whose sons were they, and where did they perform the great sacrifices. And second one is that he knows about Narada. Uh, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and pastimes, and how explain me how the glorification of the Lord, how Narada glorified the Lord. So he asked in these two questions, and Maitreya Muni replied, starting from text 6. When Dhruva Maharaj departed for the forest, his son, uh, he, uh, he, he, he begat two sons, that is Utkala and Vatsara. And the elder son is Utkala. He, he technically don't have any desire to rule the kingdom right after his father left. uh, because he's fully satisfied and unattached to the world. So he see everything resting in the super soul, and super soul present in everyone's heart. So he realized it. So this is an example that we can see that when father is a pure devotee, when he begets the next generation, by Krishna's mercy, all based upon our content or based upon our degree of purity, definitely the next generation will be purity only. Here we can see that very basic example. Of course, there may be some past karma activities that is different scenario, but when it comes to the purity, it is pure only. And next section, starting from 7 to the 9 verses, sorry, 18 verses, describes about these two sons and followed sons. As the elderly son Utkala is fully satisfied, then because he appears like a foolish man, like blind, deaf, dumb, and mad. So as the fire covered with ashes, without blazing flames, so he appears like that. So for that reason, the ministers of the kingdom they give the opportunity to the another son, his younger brother, another son of Dhruva Maharaj. His name is Vatsara, and Dhruva Maharaj is wife of. Sorry, is a son of Brahmi. Brahmi and Dhruva Maharaj beget Vatsara, and he became the king of the kingdom. Now Vatsara had a wife called Swarviti, and she gave birth to six sons named Pusparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Vruja, Vasu, and Jaya. And from here onwards, that descendants continues. Pusparna had two wives, namely Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had three sons, named Pratar, Madhyadinam, and Sayam. Dosha had three sons, Pradosha, Nishita, and Vrishta. Vrishta's wife was named Pushkarini, and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja. Next, Sarvateja's wife, Akuti, gave birth to a son named Chakshusha, who became the sixth Manu at the end of the Manu millennium. And Chakshusha and Nadvala, the Chakshusha's wife is Nadvala, they both give a birth to, I think, 12 sons named Puru, Kutsa, Tirtha, Drumna, Satyavan, Ruta, Vrata, Agnishoma, Atir, Atiratra, Padyumna, Sibi, and Ulmaka. Out of these 12 sons, again Ulmaka beget six sons in his wife Pushkarni. They were all good sons and named were Anga, Sumana, Kyati, Kratu, Angira, and Gaya. And Anga and his wife Sunita, they gave birth to a son named Veena, who was very crooked. The saintly King Anga was very disappointed with his Veena's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out of the forest. Up to text 18, all the descendants, what the description of the descendants were there. I know here the Bhagavatam is saying only the elderly path, elderly sect. Here we have seen all the so far all the was very good, but when coming to this here, Anga and Sunita beget a son named Veena is very bad in character. So hereafter, again Vidura inquired to Maitreya why this happened and what are the things happened down the road again. Now Maitreya replying to Vidura, text 19 and 20. So when the great sage curse, their words are as invisible as a thunderbolt. Thus, when they cursed King Veena out of anger, he died. After his death, since there was no king, all the rogues and thieves flourished. The kingdom became unregulated, and all the citizens suffered greatly. On seeing this, the great sages took the right hand of Veena and as a churning rod, and as a result of their churning rod, Lord Vishnu, in his partial representation, made his advent as King Prithu, the original emperor of the world. So, King Prithu came into the world because there were no other option. So, uh, sages performed a sacrifice. Again, Vidura inquired from Maitreya. King Anga was very gentle. He had high character and was a saintly personality and lover of Brahminical culture. How is it that his great soul got a bad son like Veena, because of whom he became indifferent to his kingdom and left it? And Vidura also inquired that how is it that the great sages who were completely conversant with religious principles desired to curse King Veena? So Maitreya replying, it is the duty of all citizens in a state, whatever may be the state of the king, we should not insult the king. Even though he sometimes appears to have done something very sinful, because of his prowess, the king is always more influential than any other ruling chiefs. So next, he is explaining the pastime of the complete life of the V9 continuation to that. In next, all the way to the text 25, then Maitreya replied, "My dear Vidura, once the great king Anga arranged to perform great sacrifice known as Ashwamedha, all the expert Brahmanas present knew how to invite the demigods. But in spite of their efforts, no demigods participated or appeared in that sacrifice." Basically, this is a this type of in this question he asked early of the chapter, what happened to the Prashetat and what of the sacrifices they have performed. And text 26, the priestess engaged in the sacrifice then informed King Anga, "O king, we are properly offering the uh, clarified butter in the sacrifice, but despite all our efforts, the demigods do not accept it." So they are doing the sacrifice, but demigods are not accepting. And they have perfect paraphernalia, and they have there is no deficient in their mantras, Vedic hymns. They have faith, they have strong faith, but still the demigods are not accepting. And they are replying, sages are replying, who were performing the sacrifice, "We do not find any reason that the demigod should feel insulted or neglected in any way. But still the demigods who are witness of the sacrifice do not accept their shares." Continuation to that, Maitreya explained also to Vidura that King Anga, after hearing the statements of the priests, was greatly aggrieved. At that time, he took permission from the priests to break his silence and inquired from all the priests who were present in the sacrificial arena. King Anga addressed priestly order, "My dear priests, kindly tell me what offense I have committed. Although invited, the demigods are neither taking part in the sacrifice nor accepting their shares." So he's asking to the priests who are coming to the sacrifice. The head priest replied to the Anga's question, "O king, in this life we do not find any sinful activity, even within your mind, so you are not in the least offensive. But we can see that in your previous life you performed sinful activities, due to which, in spite of your having all qualifications, you have no son." Uh, Next, that priest is replying continuation to that king's question. "O king, we wish all good fortune for you. You have no son, but if you pray at once the Supreme Lord and ask for a son, and if you execute the sacrifice for that purpose, the enjoyer of the sacrifice, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will fulfill your desire." And in continuation to that, he's saying that when Hari, the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, is invited to fulfill your desire for a son, all the demigods will come with him and take their shares in the sacrifice. Next, for the sake of in text 35, for the sake of King Anga, they decided to offer oblations to Lord Vishnu, who is situated in the hearts of all living entities. As soon as the oblation was offered in the fire, a person appeared from the fire altar wearing a golden garland and a white dress. He was carrying golden pot filled with rice boiled in milk. The king was very liberal, and after taking permission from the priest, he took the preparation in his joined palms, and after smelling it, he offered a portion to his wife. So they performed the yajna, right? I mean, like Supreme Personality Godhead appeared and he gave the that prasadam. Although the queen had no son, after eating that food, which had the power to produce a male child, she became pregnant by her husband. In due course of time, she gave birth to a son. Next, the boy was born partially in the dynasty of irreligion. His grandfather was death personified, and the boy grew up as his follower. He became a greatly irreligious person. Next, in text 40, after fixing uh, his bow and arrow, the cruel boy used to go to the forest and unnecessarily kill innocent deer. As soon as he came, all the people would cry. So here, cruel Veena, here comes to the cruel Veena. So this Veena is a cruel boy, is a religion and is not came with the Brahminical character like his father. So King Anga punished him in different ways to reform him, but was unable to bring him to the path of gentleness. He thus became greatly aggrieved. So he tried to change him, but it did not become a success in that. So thinking like that, so one day that King Anga could not sleep at night. He is not happy with his Veena, I mean, the son. He became completely indifferent to household life, and at midnight he left from the home and gave up all his attraction for his greatly opulent kingdom, and unseen by anyone, he very silently gave up his home and opulence and proceeded towards the forest. And when it was understood that the king had indifferently left home, all the citizens, priests, ministers, friends, and people in general were greatly aggrieved. They began to search for him all over the world, just as a less experienced mystic searches. And in the finally, when the citizens could not find the king after searching him everywhere, they were very disappointed and they returned to the city, where all the great sages of the country assembled because of the king's absence. With tears in their eyes, the citizens offered respectful obeisances and informed the sages in full detail that they were unable to find the king anywhere. So, in that way, he left the forest, but we don't have any address of the King Anga. So, in this, in the middle section of this some chapter, there were like I have counted annually. There were 31 two sons, Dhruva, and after that, whatever grandsons, right? There are 31 grandsons were described in this chapter under Dhruva's like dynasty or Dhruva's Vamsha. And in that way, the finally the King Anga, they continued all to way up to the King Anga. Uh, so in that way, he left the forest. Uh, thus ends the chapter. This here is the summary. I will stop here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Pancha kalpatarur